everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Tour de Cons, your podcast all about conventions across this grand old land of ours. I am your host, Jesse Jackson, and joining me today is Christi as we go down a dark alley together and talk a little horror. How you doing, Christi?
I'm doing great, Jesse. Thank you for having me on the podcast tonight.
Oh, I am just so thrilled. Coming up, first weekend of May here in Dallas is Texas Frightmare Weekend. And I've been lucky enough to have a few guests join me. And so I had posted the latest episode and I said, hey, I'm still looking for a few guests. And Christi immediately said, oh, I want to talk. I want to talk. I want to talk. And I said, oh, perfect. So why don't we start out? Tell us a little about yourself.
All right. Well, I am currently a self-contained special education teacher here in Perry, Mississippi. Horror, I got in when I was a little kid. Nightmare on Elm Street was my very first horror film. And when my mom noticed that I was into horror, she bought me my very first Hellraiser video cassette tape because she's like, hey, this is scary. You might enjoy this. So, kind of from then on out, thanks to Nightmare on Elm Street and a video my mom got from a garage sale a couple years later, my name is Vance Scholar through everything, as well as Kruger Girl. Some people might have seen that name across as well. So I've got a lovely daughter who surprisingly shouldn't be in a horror at this early of an age, but she surprises us with some stuff.
That's great.
So I'm looking to get her as involved in horror as we are now. So
very nice, doing a good job as a parent. You mentioned you're a teacher. Talk to me a little bit about that.
All right. Well, again, I'm not your basic teacher that teaches science, math, history, anything like that. I've got the utmost respect for the teachers that do, because I honestly could not do it. But ironically, they sit there and tell me the same thing. I am a self-contained teacher. So I work with the more severe, profound disabilities, ranging from autism, Down syndrome, orthopedic impairments, you name it, I've probably worked with it. So it's been a passion of mine. I grew up saying that I was going to be a doctor. I was going to help people. And everybody asked me, hey, what are you going to teach when you grow up? And I would tell everybody, don't ask me that. I'm never going to be a teacher. It's the last thing I'm ever going to do. Well, when I was in Oxford, I had the opportunity to volunteer at North Mississippi Regional Center, and that is a community for individuals with severe and profound disabilities. And when I walked through there, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So 2 years later, I graduated with my Bachelor's of Education with the focus of special education. And 3 years on to that, here I am talking to you as a third-year special education teacher. So I could not ask to be in a better place.
I can imagine it. It sounds like this was a calling for you.
It absolutely felt like it.
And I think that's a beautiful thing when someone finds that, and many of us kind of stumble on what we're going to do. I know that I had gone through a lot of different careers, and kind of in my 30s, I kind of just stumbled on customer service, and all of a sudden it became, that's what I really love doing. And so since then, I've kind of run call centers and technical support centers, and it is not nearly as noble as your calling, but it is something that I love, and so good for you.
I am with you on that one right there. I was a resident assistant through all 4 years of my college career, customer service, public relations, all of that, it's always been a passion of mine as well. You're going to hear you could sit there and walk in and out the door 50 million times. You're going to hear good morning from me 50 million times. So, and I sit out at my school every day when the kids are leaving to go on the bus. I tell them, have a good evening, have a good weekend, break, whatever we're going towards that evening. So that's something that'll always be part of me. That's why one of the reasons why I like working with my kids, because of that. It's not customer service, but I get to work with people, and with my personality, I get along with my students in a way that most teachers really don't. And it's my phone number 50. All right, and so just doing that in general. I wake up in the morning. I came home with scratches on my arms. I had the unfortunate event of losing a student when I student taught. I've been through the rough times, but I've been through the most amazing times. Seeing my kids sit there and go down the slide for the first time, which in my field, it's a pretty big stepping stone for somebody that used to go from sitting on the slide to actually going down and walking himself back up because he enjoyed it that much. I've got to witness my high school students going to prom, seeing some of my kids spell words for the first time, just the smile on their faces. That's what I live for, is to put smiles on their faces. But in this field, a lot of people tend to give up on these individuals. And when I finally made the decision to become a special education teacher, I sat there and said that I'm not going to treat my kids the way that another teacher that I witnessed growing up treat her students. I said, I'm going to let these kids know that they have a chance to what they want to do when they grow up. If one of my students can't do much, but he loves helping out with the stop sign in the afternoon, I'm saying, hey, he's going to be a great crossing guard when he gets up. One of mine could be a great assistant. Sitting there bagging groceries. There's just so many options that my kids are capable of that people don't take the time to sit there and look into them about. And I love being in the position to be able to make that difference and let them know that they don't need to let anybody tell them what they can and cannot do.
Good for you. You know, one of my favorite stories, Penn Jillette, from Penn and Teller, he spends a lot of time and energy for Opportunity Village, which is there in Vegas that help people with severe mental disabilities. And, he talks about they would make the scarves that Elvis would use. And then he also talks about, those little packages of creamer, sweetener, and the straw and the plastic. They put those together, and he said, there's such a joy there, and that they want to contribute. They want to be active, and, he just supports that with a lot of love in his heart. And you can tell just listening to you, Christi, you have that love in your heart too. This is a passion for you, and good for you. Way to go.
Thank you.
So before we get to more, do you ever bring your passion about horror into the school somehow?
There's only so much that I am allowed to do because,
Right.
Again, being a teacher, we're supposed to set an example. But I've had a lot of students who would sit there and randomly say, hey, I love Freddy Krueger, or something like that. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to pop in a movie in my classroom, but I'll sit there and bring pictures. I'll sit there and kind of pop up some videos on YouTube to the side. I'm just kind of all over the place with that. And some of my students who, especially autism, you deal with students that really don't speak much. But once you find something that they like, then they're going to sit there and talk your head off.
Yeah.
So I tend to bring it in there. And I've also went to school dressed as a zombie before. Halloween. Halloween is my most favorite holiday.
Oh, I bet.
Currently is, has been, always will be. So I have DJ'd school dances while the majority of the people's like, oh, just sit there and do this club music and stuff like that. I've made sure to incorporate some Halloween music. I've worked haunted houses, so I've been able to all right. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's why
I've been
I
able
told you.
to.
If we need to edit, we can, but you're good.
All right. My mind just went blank. Yeah, now I have one of those brain freezes you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But no, I've been able to incorporate some like the bloody stickers and zombie paint stuff like that. Some of my parents have allowed me to do that with the students, and I just have our own Halloween party. Just every year, it might be, the cliche sensory games that they have, spaghetti brains, grapes for eyes, and stuff like that. It's a win-win situation for me because I'm working with sensory for my students, but I get to incorporate horror into my activities as well, and they've always enjoyed that.
Good for you. So, Christi, you talked about Nightmare being your gateway, quote unquote, drug, and you got involved, and then I think it's kind of cool that your mom embraced that and said, "Oh, well, if you like scary movies, let's give you this." I think that's pretty cool.
It was pretty awesome. My dad, he grew up watching the Nightmare on Elm Street films. So
Right.
it was kind of one of those, he popped it on TV once. I'm like, hey, this looks cool. And it was kind of from there. So whenever it came on TV, my dad and I would watch it together. And my mom, like, everybody looks at me like I'm crazy because I seem like this sweet little innocent person. I sound like a kid to some people over the phone. But at the end of the day, this is the stuff that I'm into. It's kind of, I haven't always had the most upbeat life despite how positive I sound right now. And to me, at the time where my life was kind of rough, the horror films kind of expressed that darkness without me having to express it myself. Not saying that, I've thought about anything that happened in the movies, but it was just a way for me to kind of get that anger out, or if I was just in a bad mood one day and watch that and be like, this is funny.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense whatsoever.
It makes total sense. Is there do you have a favorite genre? Do you vampires, zombies, or slasher films, suspense? If you had to one that you love, what would it be, do you think?
Not sure if it's a genre, because I'm not going to lie, I'm not 100% familiar with each genre out there, but like pretty much demonic anything.
Okay.
There's this one film that was on, it's something that you can do on pay-per-view at this time, Fear Fest,
Okay.
FearNet.
Okay.
It was called Death Tree or something like that. I can't remember. And then you've got the whole demon hand thing that controls itself. There's just stuff behind that that's like, okay, what's the secret behind this? There's always that. It's not just what's in front of your face. I'm not a huge fan of, okay, this is what this is what you're looking at, that's all there is to it. But when there's that underworld connection to it, as far as like cursed trees or going back to Freddy Krueger with the demons that made him be able to sit there and get people in their sleep and everything. There's more to it than just, hey, I'm a serial killer or anything like that. There's more to it, and I like those levels to horror in general. But again, I've always been in everything that's had that, whether witches, demons, or anything like that. That's always been my biggest fascination.
Okay, very cool. You mentioned that you like it a little more in depth, where there's this the layered, so to speak. I think that is one of the reasons why a lot of us enjoy this, is that there is so much. Yes, it makes us scary, and we're afraid, but there's a lot of in this just that really are telling, a different kind of story, and there's all these, it's a symbolic of what other things are going on. So yeah, I think well said. So I know we talked about, so this will be your first Texas Frightmare, correct?
Yes, sir.
So why'd you decide to go?
Well, I wanted to go. I have a friend of mine who does Deep South horror down here in Mississippi, and I've met them, and he's like, oh, I'm going to Texas Frightmare this year, and I've seen a lot of pictures from that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go, and I've never been able to. I've always been on weekend duty the weekend of Texas Frightmare. It just never failed. Well, I had the chance to meet Robert Englund. Well, it was more of a panel discussion rather than in person, but I had the chance to see him, and I didn't even know he was going to be there until the morning of. So when I tell you I was fangirling big time.
Right.
And just the experience that I had there, I'm like, I absolutely have to go. And seeing that, and again, names are completely out of my head right now.
That's okay.
But the original Pinhead being there, Tobin Bell, Saw was my go-to series. Like, I remember staying home, being able to watch whatever I wanted before my doctor's appointment. Saw was always my go-to movie for some reason. And Tobin Bell, there's something about his character. I'm just like, I've got to meet this guy in real life and see, is that how he is in real life, or is this just a TV persona, or what? And so the second I saw him, again, Pinhead, and Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman, I knew since Hellboy, his appearance in Five Girls, again going back to the demonic background and extra layers on that when it comes to horror, and Sons of Anarchy. I know that's not much of a horror-related thing, but that was one of my favorite shows too. So just seeing all of them together on one flyer, I'm just like, there's absolutely no way that I'm missing it this year.
Good for you.
Not at all.
Yeah, they do an amazing, there's a very diverse cast, guest. They have everyone, and I know they're all connected, but, they've got, Christine Elise from 90210. Of course, they're coming because of Chucky. Catherine Hicks from Star Trek 4. I mean, there's so much
Matthew
here.
Lillard.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I was looking forward to him. As people's like, oh, yay, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. And I'm like, no, if I could afford an autograph, first thing I do is get a serial mom a quote picture or something and
Yeah.
get that, because that's what, because everybody, I know one thing some actors hate is being known as one character.
Right.
And seeing Matthew Lillard in Serial Mom versus his character as Shaggy in Scooby Doo, it's a big difference. He proved that, hey, I'm not just Shaggy, but I'm not. Yeah, it's like I'm not just Shaggy. There's more to me than this, because I'm not familiar with every single work. But seeing him in that kind of reminded me of myself as a teenager in a way. So, or at least who I thought I was at the time. So I had more of a connection there to an extent than I thought. So that's what made me more excited to see him as one of the guests at Texas Frightmare. I wasn't thinking Shaggy. I was thinking, oh, yeah, oh, and Ghost Ship. Ghost Ship,
Yes.
for sure.
You know,
So, like I said, all those, big difference.
yeah, I've talked about this before, but I'm a huge Aaron Sorkin fan, and Steven Weber played a part in Studio 60 at the Sunset Strip. And so I may be the only person talking to Steven Weber about that show, but that's what I'm going to talk to him about if I get my 5 minutes with him. That's awesome. Anyone else that you're kind of excited about seeing?
Tommy Flanagan, again, going back to Sons of Anarchy
Yes.
geekiness for me. Chucky, the voice of Chucky.
Yeah.
I swear to you, that was another one of those shows. I was one of those kids, and I don't know who all remembers this, but they, at one point, had a film. It was a bunch of horror characters in it, but it had Chucky, it had Candyman, Leprechaun. It had all of them based in one DVD collection.
Okay.
And that right there, that was one of those movies that played constantly. And most people aren't a fan of the newer words like Seed of Chucky and all that, but I appreciated how it didn't stay at one level. They weren't afraid to sit there and go out. They were able to play around and see what worked and what didn't. So seeing that in different light was pretty cool for me. But Chucky, I've always wanted a Chucky doll. I've always wanted. I know Jennifer Tilly's character. I can't remember the other names at the moment, but the Bride of Chucky.
Yeah.
I've always wanted that doll. And what I find funny about that I wish I was able to bring my daughter for this year, I ordered a Chucky t-shirt just for this occasion. It came in the mail, and my daughter was with me when I went to go open up. I was like, oh, yay, Chucky. And my daughter said Chucky for the first time.
Oh,
So,
how fun.
and turned around and kissed the shirt. So I'm like, yep, horror fan in the
Yep,
making
you
right
got
there.
that going. You got her going. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. Well, just to remind everyone, we are talking about Texas Frightmare Weekend. It is happening the first weekend of May. That is May 4th, 5th, and 6th. It will be in the DFW area. We are going to, it is going to be at the Hyatt Regency in DFW Airport. Tickets are still available. There is, you can go to TexasFrightmareWeekend.com for more information. There is a ton of events, merchandise. One of the things, that I always like to share people is, not just the celebrities there, but there's a lot of great, the dealer's table will have interesting things to see. There'll be panel discussions, a lot of movies available that you can see. So, this is going to be
And
great.
don't forget the horror trivia. Can't go
Ah,
wrong with sharing our knowledge.
yeah, that sounds great.
Mhm.
Yeah, very nice. Um, well, that sounds great. Any other kind of final thoughts you wanted to share, or anything?
Um, I don't know. Basically, I'm definitely looking forward to my first Texas Frightmare experience. Based on the group I've been, I've seen nothing but amazing stories about how these individuals aren't. They're not just some random strangers. You don't make friends. You make family there. And so going off right there, I know that I've got more to look forward to. And I know panel wise, based on previous con experience. And thank you to the absolutely wonderful people who have been posting their previous experiences. I know exactly how to manage my time wisely now. And I hope that I get to meet a lot of y'all and get to share the experience with y'all.
Yeah, that is well said. I always like to remind people, this is advice I got a long time ago, is focus on enjoying what you're doing, not
Mhm.
focusing on what you're not doing. It is very easy to
Absolutely.
go, oh, but I didn't get into, the Arrow video panel. Okay, that's okay. There's something else going on, and talk to people. There are, as you just said very beautifully, there are so many wonderful people that are going to be there, Christy, and we're all fans of the same thing. So it's a perfect time to talk to them, visit with them, and kind of make friends, and then you can continue it through, with online, through our different social media.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, Christy, speaking of, how about it? Do you have anything, are you on Twitter, on any social media you feel like sharing?
Yeah, I am on Facebook again, going back to my Kruger Girl name, Kruger Girl 16. However, unfortunately I believe I misspelled it. So KRUGER Girl 16. Feel free to hit me up on there if I want to talk about horror. And Twitter, I don't do much on Twitter, but I like to share horror stuff. So if you are, one of those people that need somebody to advertise for you, I love, 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 love helping spread the word. So whether artists, um, spreading, whether you're an artist wanting to share your artwork, wanting to share costumes, you name it, I'll share it because, again, I'm just as into that, and I'm not going to lie, I can't do much. I'll probably end up showing up to Texas Frightmare in the witch's costume.
Ha
I've
ha
worn
ha.
it just about every Comic Con that I've been to for like the past 5 years. So I'm gonna be jealous of a lot of these costumes. Excuse me, I don't want to say costumes because I know that'll offend some of the people that put a lot of work into it. I mean, some amazing work.
Yes,
So
they are.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. And again, if there's anybody that needs me to share stuff, I'm just a click away, and I'll do whatever y'all need. And I look forward to supporting cosplayers, artists, everything.
Oh, that is well said, Christy. Well said. I can be reached on Twitter at Jesse Jackson DFW. Um, you can find us on iTunes at Tour de Cons. You can send me an email if you have information. My home email address is jesse.jackson2 at verizon.net. And so you want to check it out if you want to give it. I'm trying to convince the convention to let me do a live episode there. I said, I've got my recorder. All I need is just a little bitty quiet space where we could talk to some people. Um, well, Christy, this is wonderful. I love your energy. I love your passion. I also I think you are making us all proud by doing this work with your students. It's very clear in your voice the passion and love you share to them, and um, I think today's world we need more love and we need more compassion, and so well
You
done.
could not be any more right about that.
Yeah, we in the words of my other podcast topic, Bruce Springsteen, no one wins unless everyone wins. And I know that doesn't work in sports, but it does work in life where, we got to take care of each other. So,
Absolutely.
yes, Christy, thank you so much for your time. Listeners, thank you. Look for all of us at Texas Frightmare Weekend. Once again, that's May 4th, 5th, and 6th at the Hyatt Regency, DFW Airport. If you're going to go, reach out to me. Let me know so we can meet up. Christy, have a wonderful week. We're only about a month away, so
Yep.
uh,
And don't be scared, get scared at Texas Frightmare Weekend 2018. Woo!
oh, I love that. Boy, I got to use that plug. Listeners, keep hope alive, and we'll talk to you soon.